Oh, okay. Well, that's fun.
No critical infrastructure.
No. All right. Let's go heavy now. Let's go heavy because
Okay.
I know you want to go heavy.
I'm prepared to do so.
Okay. I'm going to pull up the thing that you sent me
Okay.
from the frack.
Yeah.
Is that? We'll do that.
Yeah, we can go with this. So this is the statement that they put out in response to a finalized rules decision that the ATF put down. That for years now, I don't know the exact length of time, the guidance has been, as far as AR-15s go with pistol braces, that if you have an AR-15 with a barrel length of less than 16 inches that has a pistol brace attached to it, a stabilizing brace, it is not, in fact, a short-barreled rifle and does not need to be registered with the ATF under the National Firearms Act.
And this would be colloquially, I think, by the naysayers, if you will. Those are referred to as AR pistols.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And those, yes, if you technically have an AR pistol, it needs to be registered with the government at that point.
Is what
and you
the
have
ATF
to get a tax
says
stamp
now.
and do the whole thing.
Oh yes, if you're gonna put a stock on your AR-15 that has a barrel length of less than 16 inches, that would make it a short-barreled rifle instead of a pistol, and you have to register it. So,
and so you have a standard length of a barrel is 16 to 18, right?
Yeah.
You can get long barrels are generally 18, 16.
Yeah.
What would a normal short barrel rifle length be? Is it 14?
anywhere between like 10 and 14 is pretty common. Any shorter than 10, you're really taking away from the ballistics capability of.
We're like that much max shorter.
Yeah, depending. I mean, 6 inches is probably about this much, so it depends. But it's not that.
It increases the lethality, obviously.
Oh, certainly no. The reality is that there is no functional difference. The 223.556 bullet was designed to be fired out of a 16-inch barrel, so that is where it operates at its optimum lethality is at 16 inches. So,
I mean, your accuracy goes down the shorter the barrel is, and
right. Functionally, in everyday use, there's a negligible difference between 16, 14, 12, and that's why people still do that. You do start to lose some distance and stuff like that, but within the functional distance that people are really going to be using it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
When you start to, like I said, go under 10, that's when you're taken away from the real ballistic capability. The bullet's going to start to tumble. You're also going to have enormous fireballs coming out of the end of the gun just because there isn't enough room for the powder to burn off inside of there. So there's a lot of flash. So those are less common. People still have them. We know a guy that has like a 7-inch barrel on an AR-15. That's not very practical, but if you're just talking about a short distance and in like a really bad scenario, then
it'd be real like close quarters type use, right?
And in real proper, like that guy in particular knows like that's not coming out unless it's like a real, there is a mass shooting going on that he happens to be in proximity of and he's trying not to die. That's when he's taking that out. Like that's, I've seen him shoot it one time to make sure that it was still zeroed in, and so
So we have new rules
that
came down.
Yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. So, yes, new designation came out that everybody who has been following the rules as they have sat that has put a pistol stabilizing brace on their AR-15 to keep it from being a short-barreled rifle, those are all now considered short-barreled rifles, and they need to be registered with the ATF within the next 120 days. There is actually a list of options that you have if you have one of these items that you can...
I saw a list. I just don't know if it was the real list.
Yes. The options that they have given people is that you can register your firearm because it's now considered a firearm. It used to be if you had a stabilizing brace on, it was technically considered other than a firearm. That's like the legal designation of it, and that's why it was in this weird gray area. And they're like, we'll just talk about it later, right? Now they're saying it fits into the classification of an actual firearm, and it now needs to be registered. So you can register your short-barreled rifle. You can put a longer barrel on it if you want, which makes it obviously then a rifle and not a short-barreled rifle. You can destroy your rifle if you would like. You can give it to the federal government. You can just hand it over to them. You can take the stabilizing brace off and destroy the stabilizing brace so that you can't put it back on your gun. Those are the options that you have. Or you can become a felon. That's the last option. If you don't do any of these things, you, in 120 days, will be, in fact, breaking a felony law, the National Firearms Act, and you will be considered a felon. So...
So we're just making millions of people felons within 120 days.
Millions, yeah. There's not. I've seen anywhere from 3 million to like tens of millions. So I don't know what the real number is. So I don't want to quote a specific number because I don't want to be wrong. There are, in fact, millions of people who own pistol stabilizing braces that have them intact on AR-15s with shorter than 16-inch barrels. And they have been doing so under complete legal means for the last however long they've been doing it. And the federal government, the ATF, has now decided that all of those people are breaking a felony law, a federal law, if they do not register their firearms with the federal government.
And this is under the auspices...
Or take one of these other actions.
Which, I mean, register it or destroy it, essentially. Give it to the government or destroy it.
Yes.
That's the long and short of it. And this is all under the auspices of the first confirmed head of ATF in how many decades at this point? We talked about it on the show at one point.
Time.
He was, if I recall correctly, don't quote me on this, he was like a attorney in Pennsylvania for a long time or something like that. So... and was not that active in the world of firearms before this. So we were kind of questioning what may or may not happen at this point. Well, obviously, we now have this.
This is what happens.
So how do you feel about this, Donovan? What are your innermost thoughts about... because you do not have an SBR.
Nope. No, I brought my rifle here today.
But you still have strong feelings about it.
Yeah, this is a rifle. This is a stock on it, and this is a 16-inch barrel. This is the only rifle that I own, the only AR-15 that I own.
I thought you had an 18-inch for some reason.
Nope.
Okay.
Just a 16 comes standard 16. So, and I haven't swapped out the barrel. I only have like maybe 2,000 rounds through it. So because I've not shot it out or anything yet.
If guns were used cars, you'd have very little mileage on that bad boy.
Yeah. I don't go out very often at all. I'm not a prolific trainer as like on the scale of,
like fucking Shootaroogie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Them dudes are always out there. I'd still say you're above average though too. As far as like the peak, user of it,
at the peak, when I'm active in it, I don't. When reason's like probably a year old, I think it'll be easier to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, I think so.
But I've thought about this a lot all morning to try and not be upset, because when I get too upset about it, I don't make like a ton of sense about it. I think that it's very obvious that this is. It's not only an infringement on your constitutionally protected rights of your ability to own a firearm uninfringed by the federal government. This is also an infringement on your natural rights to self-defense. It's one of the reasons that we talk about this particular thing so frequently, because one of the best ways that I find for people to understand the concept of freedom is to lay out for them that the federal government is now telling you that you're breaking a federal crime because you have a particular piece on the gun that you have. This is what they're doing. This isn't because it's more dangerous or because it's scarier or because you're going to kill more people with it. That isn't the reason. It's to slowly limit and take away your ability to defend yourself. That's why they're doing this. And if we look at every example from modern day, because we talk about it consistently, the people in South America, the people in China that don't have the ability, the people in Australia, right? It's not, for all you people out there, it's not just the brown people. It's not just the yellow people, white people too. Everywhere around the world are having their ability to defend themselves taken away from them. And when that happens, they are subject to tyrannical rule by their government.
Canadians.
We all exist in governments around the world. You in Canada now, you have the right to own a rifle to hunt anyone. That is all. That is all. You don't have the ability. You don't have the right to defend yourself with a gun in Canada. Justin Trudeau has said that. That's a direct quote from the Prime Minister of Canada. You don't have that right there. And when that happens, people can come into your house and they can move you to a, let me be very specific about this, a government designated quarantine facility when a pandemic breaks out, because you have no recourse. They have the ability to take your child from your arms in a hospital because you have no recourse, because you have made a request that they find to be outlandish, that they don't find any medical basis, right? I'm not justifying, I think we all kind of know a little bit what I'm talking about, the parents in Australia who asked for non-vaccinated blood to be used in a procedure for their child. I'm not justifying their actions. I'm not anything. I'm saying that they stood in a hospital room and watched police officers wearing very similar equipment to what I'm wearing now remove their child from their possession because they had no recourse. This is what happens when your ability to defend yourself is taken away from you, and I cannot be adamant enough about how important it is not only that we do not comply with this, but that you do the exact opposite. We as a show have been telling you for as long as I have been into it, you need to own equipment like this. You need to own equipment like this. You need to know how to use it. You need to know how to be lethal with it. You need to know how to defend yourself, how to defend your home, how to defend your family, how to defend this place that we live. Because they will try and take it from you. They will try and take it from you. Any one of those things. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm not telling you who it is. The government will take, the powers that be, the people who are trying to take it from you right now, they will take this from you. You have to fight to keep it. I'm not calling you to action. I'm not telling you to hurt anybody. Let me be very specific. I am not telling you to hurt anyone. I am telling you, you have to stand up for your rights, because it isn't just about the Constitution. This is about your natural rights as a human being everywhere, everybody around this planet has. No other human being is better than you. They do not have the right to dictate to you how you can or cannot defend yourself and defend your family and defend your property. They don't have that right. They don't have that ability. And if they try and put that right upon you, it is your right to stop them. So I'm asking you, I'm telling you, do not comply with this. Do not listen to this. This is unconstitutional. This is a direct infringement on your rights. Do not listen to this. You need to be buying body armor. You need to be training with this. You need to know how to use these items. You need to teach people how to use them safely. You need to be responsible with these things. You need to store them safely in your house. You need to be doing this. It's not a question anymore. You need to be doing this. You need to understand the larger picture at hand here. It's deeply important.
I think that's very nicely said.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about in the legal realm. I don't know if you know this off the top of your hand. I thought I saw you guys talking about it today. Are there legal actions now being pushed against this? Is there
nothing has been announced yet because it takes time. That happened Friday evening and Saturday now. Courts are closed around the country. So it's going to, I would imagine, Monday morning, because what I sent you, is a statement from the Firearms Regulatory Accountability Coalition. And I'll read that. Let me just pull it up on my computer here. And this came out, this is what I read to you yesterday when we were out to lunch. And so this is what came out right after this ruling was released. So this is, like I said, this is from the Firearms Regulatory Accountability Coalition for public release, subject ATF brace ban final ruling 2021R-08F. Industry members, allies, and supporters. Today, the ATF/DOJ released their final rule regarding, quote, factoring criteria for firearms with an attached stabilizing brace, 2021R-08F. Their rule categorically proclaims that upwards of 10 to 41 to 40 million firearms equipped with such braces are now, by executive fiat, quote, short-barreled rifles under the National Firearms Act, and that those firearms must now be centrally registered with the federal government as such, contradicting a decade of precedent and public understanding on the matter. This rule is an abject repudiation of the rule of law by the weaponized ATF bureaucracy against the firearms industry, the Second Amendment, and the American people. We will not stand for this, nor will we take this this lying down. The ATF must be held accountable to the rule of law. To the ATF, we say only this: we will see you in court. In liberty, Travis R. White, President and CEO. So I can guarantee that this will be challenged in the courts. I guarantee this is not the only group that is doing this. Yeah. I would not expect that the courts would allow this to be enforced in the meantime.
Like an immediate injunction would be set,
we saw,
I'm sure.
I think just this last week that the ban on bump stocks was overturned, right? That happened during Donald Trump. I think that was 2017. It was in response to the shooting that happened in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So
what happened to that?
That was like 6 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
So it took 6 years. People who owned those, they had them taken from them. They turned them into the government. Like all these things already happened. It's now ruled that you can't actually ban that.
Yeah.
You actually aren't allowed to do that as the president.
Which seems like good precedent.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It's very good. But it took 6 years for that to happen. I think the difference is there weren't that many people that owned bump stocks just because it was like, it's like the same thing as like the forced reset trigger. Not that many people own them. They do own them, but it's more of a niche type of thing. The bump stock in particular, from what I understand, like it's kind of finicky. If you're not using it consistently, then you're like, you got to learn it. You know, you have to really kind of figure it out. So
yeah, it's kind of like almost a learned skill at that point. Just because you buy the skateboard doesn't mean you know how to skate yet.
Right. So comparison as far as the numbers go, there are way, way, way more people that own these stabilizing braces and have them installed on firearms than people that owned bump stocks. So
just anecdotally, I would say I know lots of people that have lots of firearms. None of them have bump stocks or are even interested in owning a bump stock, but lots of them have pistol braces.
I know one person who has a tax stamped SBR.
Oh, interesting.
One. And it's my uncle, and he has other AR pistols. I was like, why did you? Because I just wanted to have one that was like a proper SBR, you know, like it's tax stamped. Like, and he lives in Oregon, so they're a little more weird about like taking it to the range and stuff. Like people will press him on it. So it's like I just wanted to have one that was proper, you know, that was legit. So that was just a personal quest that he wanted.
Yeah.
But he has, like I said, other ones that are pistols that have the braces on them and everything. So.
It seems
extremely
benign.
common.
Yeah, and I want to say it seems benign, right? When,
it makes no functional difference. Most of them now, they even adjust on the stock. Like the first ones were fixed and they were very short, but now they even function the same as a stock. They are functionally the same.
Yeah,
their intended use is different.
Yes, and I'm saying as far as the new classification goes, a lot of the uninitiated will say, might seem like this seems like a very benign thing. It's like, well, why don't you just register it? That's fine. That's just do it. I mean, what's the matter, man? I mean, just do what they tell you to do. It's not that big a deal. You're just going to be, why is it so hard for somebody to just be like, well, okay, that's fine. I'll just register my short barrel rifle thing now.
Right. So,
and to the uninitiated, it seems very benign, but in a world where we have seen in multiple avenues the government utilize these registrations and things like that for various different things to oppress the population in multiple different ways. I mean, all you need to do is relive what just happened over the last few years in COVID to understand why this is a really, really, really bad idea.
Well, and you can even see with the forced reset triggers, we've played this videos. They used online credit card purchases to find out who had them and went to your house. If they have a list, they will use it. We have seen that already.
Yep.
Right? They used online purchases to find out who potentially had forced reset triggers. They went to their homes without a warrant to request that they willingly turn over something that has not actually been ruled illegal yet. The ATF just said you can't have it.
Yeah.
If they have a list,
they will use it.
If they have a list, they will use it. This is functionally, if you're taking everybody who owns an SBR, an AR-15 with shorter than a 16-inch barrel, everybody, right? And that's a ton of them. Because you can buy them that way. You can buy pistols like that. If you're going to build one, you can buy a fully made upper that just has a 14-inch barrel, a 10-inch barrel. That you can buy them that way. That's a very, very common, extremely common, because most people who buy an AR-15, who are just dipping their toes, they're getting into it. They're going to buy a pre-built gun. I'm going to put just like this one, right? This
right off the shelf, basically.
Right off the shelf, out of the box. I bought this rifle, and I got a handguard. I got a different handle for it, a light, an optic, those things, right? But this rifle came just like this out of the box. I did the paint, right? I did the paint myself. Most people do it that way. After that, they have a long one, like, shit, I want a short one. I want a different one. I want something else, right? At that point, it's very easy to build one. Even if you don't want to do all the work yourself, you can buy a lower, as we've talked about, a whole lower, the stock, the handguard, everything that's all one piece, and then a whole upper that's a barrel, this handguard, the upper, everything that's all one piece. So it's really just two pieces. You can do that.
Yeah.
But you can choose what companies they come from, how they look, the different stuff.
Yeah.
That's very common.
It's way more plug and play than even like today's PCs.
Yeah.
Which are, generally speaking, literally you buy X amount of parts, plug, and you're done. It's easier than that.
Yes.
It seems very complicated, but it's really not.
Because if you do it like that, there's two pins. If you buy it the way I just described, there's literally two pins right here. And you put the two things together and you pop the pins in and it's ready to go.
It's pretty fantastic.
It's that simple, right? It's very common for people to do that, especially if they want to start getting into suppressor stuff. I mean, people hunt with them all the time, especially in the South. People hunt with AR-15s all the time.
Yeah,
boars and shit like that. I mean, it's very common. So,
but the only time I could justify wanting an AR when hunting is like if I'm hunting something like a boar, where they're fucking dangerous, man.
Yeah.
You need to put off you need to be able to put off multiple rounds in quick succession.
It cuts so harshly against general knowledge and understanding to think that people are only using these things to commit crimes, right? Because the National Firearms Act was in response to essentially all of the organized crime that came out of Prohibition, right? So short-barreled rifle thing has to do with sawed-off shotguns.
Yeah.
Like, that's where this originates from, is people carrying sawed-off shotguns in their trench coats and then showing up to a club to kaboom and blow away one of their adversaries, right? That's not, of course that's still being done. Not really how people use short-barreled rifles anymore, right? And that's why stuff like this happens with this infrastructure thing, right? Where they show pictures of short-barreled rifles that someone literally, because no one fucking done this because it's retarded. What they did, the pictures they showed, don't actually make any functional sense. You do that shit if you literally don't know anything about guns. To take a hunting rifle and just chop the end of it off and put a made-up fucking suppressor on there, for what? To ruin the ballistics capability of that rifle? Because it doesn't do anything anymore. Yeah. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you probably compromise the structural integrity of the barrel, too.
Yes. No, it's just to...
So I never really thought about this, right? So just the way you said this, right? Because the National Firearms Act was enacted essentially in response to the organized crime caused by Prohibition. Yeah. So the government created a problem through Prohibition and then created a rule to crack down on the problem that they caused through interesting.
Precisely.
That seems like a general theme for the United States government, does it not?
Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Now, I'm trying to sit here. I'm trying to think about this. Removing the firearms aspect from this, right?
Okay.
Is there... I think I have an analogy. But is there any other item that an American consumer might purchase and own and keep on in their property that then the government turns around and makes illegal to have arbitrarily, other than say maybe like gas-powered leaf blowers, which is starting to happen. But then they have this grandfather clause in, which is weird. But they don't do that with firearms. But is there any other item that you could think of? They're like, well, you can't have that now because it's illegal.
Light bulbs.
Incandescent light bulbs.
I don't think they're going to take them from your house, but they're not going to sell them to you anymore. This is, you're not supposed to have these. You're not supposed to.
But you don't become a felon.
No.
That's
certainly not one that they're going to lock you in prison for.
No. I mean, maybe like there's like emissions things with cars, and then those are always like in certain states and cities like that. You can't. Like in my old truck, I could never own my old truck if I lived in Seattle. Right. They would not allow that at that point because it has too much emissions.
Yeah, but they're not going to felonize you for it.
No. they'll just fine it and then make it so that you can't register it or something like that. And then technically you can't have that vehicle,
I mean,
but you're not a felon.
No, I mean some drugs, maybe medications, but like,
Yeah. That's it, huh? So it's just guns. Almost as if there's like there's a reason. There's an agenda at play here, perhaps.
Yeah, just the stuff that you would use to defend yourself or your family or your property in the modern day.
Interesting. Well, we have no problem trampling on people's rights in this country these days, so I guess it makes sense. Are you hopeful that this will not play out fully in the long term? Where's that white pill, baby? Maybe not.
No, I think that if we as liberty-minded people do the right work, then yes. If we allow this type of stuff to continue to happen, God love him, our friend that texted us earlier, if that's the way that we think about shit, of like, well, it's just time to register, we're definitely not going to win. This is not going to get any better, right? Yeah. If you just do what they say because they told you that it's
you don't ever think about it, bro.
The rule now, then no, you're going to lose everything that you have, because the moment they said this is how we do it now, you said okay, that's not how this is done, right?
I take great solace in the fact that it used to be the only true powerful institution out there that could fight back against something like this was the NRA. But in today's modern world, the NRA has lost a lot of power and has been replaced exponentially by multiple smaller institutions that actually, I think, carry the correct ethos when it comes to 2A. They're not like pro-gun advocates, they're pro-2A advocates. And I think a lot of these smaller institutions, like I just got rid of it, but whatever that, who you sent me earlier.
The FRAC.
I mean, a lot of these institutions now have much better, I think they're ideologically more centered around 2A and are going to be making the more proper arguments and pushing for the right things compared to like the NRA of the past. And I think that right there should also give some good hope and good solace, because they're not going to be bowing down to the governmental powers at play here just because they can get a little bit more lobbying power here or a little bit more lobbying power here, like the NRA was subjected to for so long. I think these people are going to be pushing for the right concerns, and they're going to be doing the lawsuits the best way to protect the Second Amendment going after this law. I think that should bring some hope. We have better institutions around 2A than we ever have had before.
Definitely that will help. I think the real key is proliferation of understanding and ownership. Yep. If we even just use COVID as an example, right? We saw how many people will do whatever the government told them to do without questioning.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't even got to think about it.
The only thing that counteracted that is the amount of people that were unwilling to comply. Right. The only thing that broke these norms that they were trying to create were the amount of people that were unwilling to continue to wear a mask everywhere they went, to not wear a mask outside, to not go the way that the arrows were telling them in the grocery store. Right. That's the only way that these things stop happening, is when the people the powers that be trying to enforce those realize it's not worth the effort being pushed, being used to try and get this done. Yeah. So the best way to fight this is proliferation of firearms, is proliferation specifically of these things that they're trying to ban. If they come to the point that we're talking about over half of the people that own AR-15s own these things that we're now telling them are short-barreled rifles, is what are we really talking about, right? Are you really talking about trying to potentially confiscate firearms from people, from multiple millions of people around the country that are unwilling to turn them into you or register them with you? Because I guarantee you, the same thing they did with the force reset triggers, if you bought a stabilizing brace online, they're going to use that information. They're going to come to your house. They'll come to your house and ask you if you'll still have it, because they know that you have it. So if you bought it online, they're going to come to your house. They don't need a warrant anymore. It's illegal. You're a felon. You have 120 days. So you can comply or you can tell them to go fuck themselves, and you can say, I don't know what you're talking about. Because they will come to your house. They've already done it. We saw it. We played the videos here. That's not illegal. The forced reset triggers aren't even illegal. They just said you can't have them anymore. They don't have a ruling for that. The same thing they do with the bump stocks. They'll take them from you. They'll come to your house. If you bought it with anything other than cash, they'll come to your house because they know that you have it. It's time to decide because you have 120 days. The clock is now ticking, actually ticking. It's not just we're sitting here, we're telling you one day they're working for it. This is what they're going for. They're doing it now. They just told you. You have 120 days. You can do what they're telling you, or you can do what we all know is right, and you can embrace freedom, liberty, and personal responsibility and stand up for your rights and tell them to go fuck themselves. Mola on the Bay. This is the option that you have. You can come and take it from me because you don't have the right, you don't have the ability to tell me how I defend myself and my family. You don't have the right to tell me that I'm a terrorist now because you don't like the rifle that I own. They will come to your house. It's time to stand up.
I like the learn and understand your rights and responsibilities. Live them out. Learn them, live them out. That's what they're there for. The minute we allow them to step down on that is when they take them. They can't take them if we don't let them. I like it. I like it a lot.
And it's not easy. I have children. I have children. I have a wife. I've had extremely uncomfortable, very candid conversations with my wife about the realities of some of the things that we own, some of the ideas that I hold so dear at the core of who I am, the things that I'm willing to do to defend those things. And it's not simple. I'm not trying to stand up and grandstand, but this is important. These things are important. This is the most important. And this is the crux of all of it, right? Your freedom in 2023 comes at the end of a gun. That's where your freedom comes from, because there is no other recourse. There is no other way to ensure that you are free other than you are defending it. You are ensuring it. Your might is your right to freedom. That is all, because they will take it from you. They will come to your house. They will take it from you. We've seen in other countries. They'll take you. They will just take you if you give it to them. They will take you. They'll take your children from you. They'll take your family from you. They'll take everything that you have. Because this is what they do. They're showing you now. They will take it from you. You have to stand up for it. You have to defend it. No one else can do it for you. I can only hold one gun at a time. I can carry two. That's it. You have to defend it.
I like it. Good stuff. Good stuff, sir. I always get I don't know. It's like I get patriotic butterflies when you talk about this stuff. You're very, very impassioned when you speak about this stuff, and people listen. I'll put it that way. You have the commanding way of speaking about what you care about and what you think is important, and I don't think there's anybody I can imagine out there that could do a better job of instilling the importance of what we're talking about today.
And we didn't plan this.
Right? This just happened.
I read that letter yesterday. And even then, I still didn't plan on talking about this because I hadn't quite taken in, like, that was the first thing that I saw. So I hadn't even quite understood everything that was going on. This was unplanned, but we've talked about it so many fucking times. Because of the path that I have walked with this, I mean, this is the crux. This is the core of it. This is the core of the freedom, man. So this is why I feel like it's so important. And when I've had conversations with people about other countries, people who don't have that recourse, it's easier to understand. But the way that it's contextualized, even when it is presented to you through mainstream media, because corporate media talked about the protests in Hong Kong, but they didn't say, damn, if only these people could fucking shoot a gun, right?
Don't say that.
No one
Don't say
said
that.
Not a single person said that, even though that's the most obvious thing to draw from that, is when your government is literally taking your freedoms from you because they're rewriting the Hong Kong Constitution. They're literally actually taking your freedoms from you.
They're usurping your government and installing their own to take all of your rights away.
Not one member of corporate media said, wouldn't it be nice if they could fucking defend themselves? Because goddamn if that happened here, right?
And why do you think they were fucking waving American flags?
Not even Fox News. Not even Fox News. It's supposed to be far right. It's supposed to be all this shit. Not even Newsmax or any of this shit. You're not sitting there saying, if only these motherfuckers could just kill somebody, right? Because if that should happen here, you can't imagine. That's at that point, that's not even a wild thing to a thought experiment to run on corporate media.
Yep.
If you're on TV and you're saying, damn, if we really had a tyrannical government that was here and installed, that was trying to take people's rights, if that happened here, there would be a real showdown. Like, that's not a crazy, that's a very logical pathway to follow. Not one person. Not one. Because they don't actually care about that. They don't actually want you to know that.
Yeah.
They want you to see that it's happening so you can see that it's possible. That's all. Just know this can happen to you. Just know that this can happen to you. They don't want you to know that you have recourse. They don't want you to know that it actually couldn't happen here if you stop it from happening. They want you to think that it could. They want to make it look that easy.
Hey everybody, Colin here from Salt the Streets. Thank you for watching today's edition of Salty Shorts. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to check out the full episode right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this with all your friends. And you too can become a spreader of the message of liberty. Thanks.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you